How did you get involved in racing?
I raced go-karts when I was a kid. My sister wanted to race go-karts, and I just didn't want to get left out. So turned out I was all right at it, and I kept going.
But it's a very unusual path.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, I did everything, though. I played, like, coach pitch, then t-ball. I was in the band, the choir. I took voice lessons. I played basketball, volleyball, cheerleading. I played in every sport. I took tumbling classes, and then I also tried racing.
So you've always been intense?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you know at a certain age that you wanted to be a race car driver?
Well, when I was 10, I decided that I wanted to go to college for engineering so I could learn how to work on my race car. And I realized I did not have to do that. I did not have to do that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
You want to learn to be an engineer so that you could work on your race car. Do you understand how crazy that is?
When I was to be 10 years old, to be thinking that? Well, I don't know. Do you think you're born that way, or am I an old, like, what do you think about that? Like, to be thinking that way when I'm 10 years old, like, you know, some people are just so much different or more mature, further along. Is it, why do you think that is?
It's a very good question. I think it's entirely possible that memory gets transferred through DNA. And that there are certain people that have a long line of adventurous people in their family, and that gets transferred to the DNA of the children. I think it's entirely possible. I have 3 children.
Not a spiritual reincarnation.
No, maybe. I mean, look, that's entirely possible too. I would never say no to that, because if you're living this life, I mean, nobody asked to live this life. You're just here, right? Who knows if you get to do it again? I mean, we're assuming that you don't get to do it again because we're assuming that time goes on in this sort of linear way. But maybe it just does for you in this life. I mean, it's entirely possible that there's infinite number of lives being lived out in infinite timelines all simultaneously. We're just experiencing this one. And we don't even know what happens when we sleep. You go to sleep, you close your eyes, you have some crazy dream about Godzilla chasing you when you're on a skateboard. You wake up in the morning and you just assume that you're on the same timeline that you were on before. You know, because you have
not on the astral.
Who knows? I don't. You know, I have children, and then one of the things that's really fascinating about watching a child develop from a baby to a kid and see their personality is, like, you realize, like, there's a lot of stuff that's what they come with.
Yeah,
they're just
exactly
different.
what I'm saying. So if they're just different, why? You know, why was I thinking about being an engineer when I was 10 years old? Why was I brave enough to go live in England by myself when I was 16 and all good with it? And, you know, why am I intense? Why was I intense when you met me?
You're wired that way.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I think part of your intensity is probably, if I had to guess, if I could be presumptuous, you're a woman involved in a very manly activity, and I'm sure men probably test you in some sort of a weird way, and so I bet along the way you've developed this sort of like way of addressing them right away, like a listen, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably have to. You know, I would imagine.
You have to be strong. You have to. I remember when I was younger and going to meetings with companies or team bosses, people like that, and the advice given was, don't say, oh, I think this and maybe, like, you be sure about what you want. And I remember that. So, yeah, nature versus nurture. Some of it's learned, but some of it's just there.
Yeah, you can't turn a timid person into you. Maybe you could, but I mean, it's not likely. You seem to be like this person. This is just who you are. Yeah. And if you're telling me that at 10 years old you were thinking about being an engineer so you could work on race cars, that's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, what's normal though?
What did you want to do when you were 10 years old?
I had no idea. I probably wanted to be an artist. I think I wanted to be an artist.
I mean, that's kind of what you got. I mean, that follows this vein.
Sort of. Yeah. But like, I used to want to draw comic books. I did a lot of that. Yeah. So that was probably what I wanted. But I was never like, what I need to do is, like, I need to figure out a way to make my hands stronger so that I draw faster. You know, like you seem to be. Well,
let's keep in mind, I did not go to college. In fact, I didn't even finish high school.
You didn't at all?
Nope. I left when I was 16 and I got my GED.
Wow, why'd you do that?
And I failed the first time.
Wow.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because that's like a horrible, like, I failed my GED. Oh, geez. the Constitution test is something, at least in Illinois, I don't know if you have to pass it in every state, but in Illinois you do. And so in 8th grade, to go to high school, you have to get a 70% or above to go to high school. I got a 70. So I went to high school. Now, I'm like a 3.5 and above student. Like, I was A's and B's. Not a problem. For some reason, the Constitution and government and all of those sectors and names, and holy moly, it's so confusing to me. So so then when it came time to take my GED, I didn't study at all. I just took the test, and I failed the Constitution test. So
you just didn't prepare for it, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I've never studied in my life, so I just...
For anything?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-mm. The only thing I study if I'm doing a speech, or if I'm doing something for a company, for a sponsor, and I need to make sure that I have my talking points ready, I mean, I spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 5 minutes making sure that I'm organized in my head about what it is that I need to get out there so that I can do my job and deliver. But other than that, I never studied in school. Keep in mind, I didn't have to go to school that long.
That's true.
I mean, I only went to school until I was 16. So it's been a really, really, really long time since I went to school.
But you're very smart.
Oh, I don't know. See,
you're smart.
Thank you. Well,
but do you read?
I want to start reading more. I've got a lot of books that I want to read. I started reading a book called The Holographic Universe.
Okay, Michael Talbot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Is it?
It's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that. You're like, wait a minute, is this guy on drugs? Like,
probably.
There's a lot of woo-woo in there, I think.
I'm a little woo-woo, so it's good. I'm in simple books like The Alchemist and stuff. I just really want to read these books. I mean, and yeah.
That's more woo-woo.
Yeah.
You're into woo-woo shit.
Yeah, I am.
Why? Do you think that is the race car thing? Do you think that's like the...
it has nothing to do with racing.
That's just who you are?
That's just who I am. I remember getting a psychic reading when I was 18 years old, living in England. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I bought, like, Linda Goodman's Love Signs, like, astrology book when I was a kid.
So when you were 16 and you got a psychic reading...
I mean, I totally had a mood ring.
Oh, mood rings are great.
Sorry, go ahead.
What did they tell you? Did they tell you anything you didn't know?
I can't remember, but when I was talking about signing my contract and when Mercury was in retrograde, I talked to an astrologer and she said, just don't sign any contracts. And I was like, well, what a bizarre... I mean, I was kind of learning about some of this stuff because it was quite a few years ago now, but I remember the next, it was a year and a half later or so, and, shit hit the fan, and I was like, that damn astrologer was right. Now, okay, Mercury in retrograde is pretty standard information if you're into astrology at all, but yeah. She said, I saw a psychic in Sedona a few years ago, and she said that professionally over the next 4 years, your life's going to go boom, 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 boom. And I thought, man, I'm going to win a bunch of races. This is going to be awesome. And instead, I have a clothing line now. I have a book that just came out at the beginning of the year. My wine's finally been for sale for a year now. And there's other projects I'm working on too, but finishing off my career in a pretty big way. So I guess she was right.
I think that lady's full of shit.
You
I
think
think
so?
she took a guess. I think she looked at you and like, this chick's going to kick ass. I'll just make some
So do you
predictions.
think she recognized me then? She's like, okay, so when I sat down, she was like, all right, the way it works here is like, I just see words or symbols or things around you. So if I just look around, like, don't think I'm not paying attention to you. I'm just how I see things. And so I'm like, all right.
Right.
So I'm sitting there. She's telling me all this stuff. And she says, whatever my job is, I travel a lot and things like that. And then she all of a sudden kind of was looking at me. She looked over. She goes, celebrity. Are you a celebrity? And I was like, I only am if you think I am, which is usually how I answer people. So I don't know. Did she know who I was?
Probably.
I don't know. Up in Sedona, they don't watch a lot of TV, I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
They do.
I don't know.
They do. They sneak it in when no one's looking.
Their lunch break areas, just,
They rest their crystals on the TV. I just think it's
sending positive vibes.
Almost all bullshit. I think almost all psychic stuff is bullshit. I think
you don't believe in being intuitive.
I think intuition is a different thing. I
Really?
think when people sit down and
the
they
same?
go, "I see you in a past life, and you were a handmaid, and you worked by the river." Like, get the fuck out of here. I think that's all bullshit. I think those people are just nuts, and there's a lot of people that want to think they're special, and they want to think that they have
That's
special
true.
gifts, and
Sure.
And
Everybody does.
People get really good at reading people. I know people who are professional magicians, and they are expert cold readers. They could sit down with you and read and tell you remarkable amounts of things with you about your life, just with your answers to questions. But they'll tell you right away. They're not psychic. Like there's a guy named Banachek who's excellent at it. He's fantastic. He does a show in Vegas, and he freaks people out.
Wow.
But he'll tell you right away, I am not a psychic. He's like, there's techniques to this. And it's something I've been doing my whole life, and you just get really good at it, and he knows how to do it. And these people are con artists. They're con artists. They trick you into thinking that they have, but they might even believe it themselves. That's part of the problem. A lot of those people con themselves. But I think there is something. Like when you're thinking about someone, and they call you, like out of nowhere, and you haven't talked to them forever.
Those kinds of synchronicities that pop up in your life. And you're like, oh my God, I was thinking about that movie, and there it is on TV.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that there's some bizarre connection that we don't totally understand to events and to people and to things.
Well, like attracts like, or where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah, there's probably a lot to that.
Certain magnetism to those, to things that bring it together.
Yes.
Maybe.
But I think it's very, very poorly understood, and there's a lot of woo that's clouding it up, and that woo gets in the way of rational, logical, educated people even considering it. They dismiss it instantaneously because it's connected to so many assholes with neon signs that say card reader, palm reader, and these people that they're just ripping you off. That's all they're doing. They don't have a real job. They sit down, they talk to people for a job. And you could say it's entertainment. You could say that what they're doing is they're providing you with a service, and that service, they sit down with you, and maybe by telling you that everything's going to be amazing, you'll walk out of there with a lot of enthusiasm, and then life will be amazing. Who knows?
Do you believe that? If you think your life's going to be amazing, it will be?
No, you get hit by a meteor. You could walk out of the house. You could fall into a crack in the ground from an earthquake. I mean, those people that died in the tsunami in Thailand, were they bad people? No, is
there any level of woo that's worth following through on?
I think it's all things. I think some of the connections and the intuition and some superstitions and ideas that we have are probably based in this limited understanding that we have in the connection that we have to events and humans and life. But I think there's also bullshit involved too. And all these things get very cloudy. I don't think there's an absolute. But I think it's entirely possible that intuition is a developing sense that we don't totally have yet. I think if you think about all the things that people can do, hearing and seeing and touching and smelling and all the different senses that we have, we assume that covers the full gamut of possibilities, but I don't think that's true.
No, I think you're right.
And I
mean, even just visually, we don't see the full spectrum of, we see a very, very small amount of things that are out there.
Yeah, and audio as well. We can't hear all the sounds. Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that there's more going. Like, there's certain people that just have a weird feel to them. You meet them, you're like, I just got to get away from this guy.
Bad vibe.
Yeah, there's definitely people that they're giving off weird feelings, and it could be that you're reading their intent in some sort of a way that you don't see visually, but you recognize by their body language, or there could be a bunch of things at play.
Well, you didn't run when you met me, so
no.
I appreciate that.
No,
I mean, I know we're
you.
probably scheduled to do this interview, so you couldn't, but
I was looking forward to this. Why would I run?